Hi, this is Silence Maestas, and today I am doing a review slash kind of introduction to a deck I am very excited to receive called Slutist Tarot. It's the creation of an artist, a graphic designer, the editors of the Slutist website, which is a sex positive feminism, sex magic. It's really cool. I'm pretty enormously fond of their website, and so when they announced that they were creating their very own tarot deck that focused on imagery and messaging that was meaningful to them as women, as sex workers, as sex positive people, whatever that means to them individually. They wanted a deck that talked about all of that, and that was very meaningful to me. So they released they crowdfunded a deck. I got myself a copy. There are still several copies available. I believe you would need to go to slutist.com. I think, yeah, it's Slutist. I don't remember if it's .com, but I'm pretty sure it is. And it's retailing there for $50, I want to say, which is a little steep, but if it's, that's pretty common for an independently produced deck. And hey, maybe if it gets enough traction, US Games will pick it up. No, they won't, but we like to think that. So what makes this deck different up front is part of what they say here in their the tarot structure and mythology card. Let's see, what does it say? This is the Maiden's journey as opposed to the Fool's journey. And the Maiden is specifically a young woman, a young femme, someone who is awakening to their sexual nature, to their appetite for desire, awakening to their desire for experience. And the deck is their journey through relationship, through self-discovery, through heartbreak, through injury. And so this deck is highly geared towards relational matters, towards personal development, towards personal evolution, specifically from a femme and a feminine perspective. Whether or not that speaks to you, that might be the deciding factor on whether or not this is the deck for you. First off, I love the colors. I love these colors. They are bright, vibrant. The printing, certainly to my eyes so far, I have noticed no problems with them. It was made specifically to address, the deck was made to portray specifically a lot of intersectional identities, intersectional life experiences. And whereas in many tarot decks, in many oracle decks, you would see women and feminine coded figures in a minority of roles, in this one it's clear that they are the vast majority. There are people illustrated in the deck that are fairly specifically illustrated to be transgender of one variety or another, to be genderqueer. And there are some that are not explicitly, perhaps, of a trans life experience or of a trans identity, but who could be read that way. And I think that possibility of being open to that interpretation makes this deck special. It leaves a lot up to the viewer to bring their own interpretation, to bring their own. I love this one. She's so pretty. She's so cute. But on the topic of intersectionality, I will say that the majority of the cards are portray people with this pale skin color. And I think that that should have been balanced a little bit differently in order to really capture that spirit of intersectionality. I also think, and here's a couple of the features of the deck that I personally find a drawback. Many of the cards, like here's one example. It's a person just kind of standing and posing, and it's really up to the reader to bring their interpretation, basing on past divination knowledge and past divination experience, you know, their expertise as a reader, as well as their own feelings about the deck, in order to get meaning from some of these cards, because they are a little ambiguous in the sense that there's not a lot of narrative substance to some of the cards. They're just kind of people that admittedly look very nice and are very nice and interesting to look at, but may not contain a lot of the narrative substance that a more typical or a more traditional tarot deck might feature. That said, there are a great many tarot decks that do not feature narrative substance, that are purely symbolic, that feature just geometrics, that feature just colors and patterns and abstract designs. So this isn't to say that it's going to detract from your experience as a reader or from your experience as a querent getting your cards read with this deck, but it is something to think about if you are not experienced reading those kinds of decks. Oh, it's so brutal. It's beautiful, but it's harsh. It's gorgeous. I love this deck. I think there are a few cards. Maybe this isn't quite an example, but you can probably see a few others in here. I feel like the figures don't fill up the space, and the one that really came to mind was the Empress card. Here she is. In this card, it's the mother. And there's all of this extra space, and we could give her more. And that's, you know, I'm not going to argue with the artist. If that's the way the artist and the designer wanted it, then there's clearly a reason, and that's fine. But part of me is like, oh man, use the space. Use the space for more of these beautiful colors, for these amazing figures. You know, fill up the space. Use it. The cards are printed on, oh, so beautiful. The cards are printed on some pretty decent cardstock. Like they've got some stiffness to them, and especially this deck because it's, oh, look at the backs. Aren't the backs pretty? Ah, they're not reversible, but when it looks this good, who cares? I love it. It's very pretty. But I think this is a deck that will soften up. It's going to flex a little bit. I don't think it's ever going to shuffle like a couple of my other decks that are published by mass market printers and have broken in like a dream. I think this is going to be a little tougher to shuffle, but that's why you work with it lots and lots. 10 of Wands. Oh, it's so pretty. And I keep looking at this card and I can't tell if they've got a spoon like from a mixer, and so they're licking the batter. It's probably an ice cream, like an ice cream popsicle sort of thing, an ice cream bar. That's what I'm talking about. But I like that it could go both ways. It's a little mysterious. Like, is she licking the spoon, or does she have an ice cream bar? I like it. I like this a lot. It does come with a little white book, which is helpful. Oh, there's one stuck in here. Oh, we missed the 9 of Wands. So beautiful. It comes with its own little white book. And I think this is really helpful because the meanings are not entirely traditional. You could certainly read it as a traditional deck with traditional Rider-Waite-Smith meanings, but why would you? That's why it's a different deck. You know, like, try something new. Try something new. And I'm not sure if I could wholeheartedly recommend this deck to absolutely everyone, just because I think it does require a little more of you as a reader, someone who is familiar with the meanings of the cards and who's willing to put in the time to learn this deck and this deck's energy. That said, if you are looking for something that is definitely out of the mainstream, but that is still accessible in the sense that, you know, you can sit down with a little white book and learn it, yeah, this has that. And I think this speaks to a dimension of human experience that is rarely addressed specifically in tarot. And that means that there was a need for this deck. And that means that there are going to be a lot of people who look at this and say, yes, finally, I have a divination tool that is meaningful to me. And if that's you, then go and get yourself a copy. I'm thrilled that I have this because I love the art. I love the colors. I love that it's a non-traditional take on one's life's journey. You know, this is a different kind of fool, and so this is a fool that ends up in very different kinds of experiences. And I find that very exciting and very illuminating and engaging and stimulating, and I cannot wait to use this with my clients. And I hope that I know that I will someday have clients that are like, oh yes, this is the deck for me. You bring this deck when you read for me. And I look forward to that day a lot. So thank you very much for listening, and I hope that this whets your appetite a little bit for the Slutist Tarot. Thanks.